But what I saw in some of your videos was like, okay, I'm slowly releasing these tracks out, and I'm like, okay, so is there like an album there, or is it just kind of singles, testing the waters, figuring stuff out?
At the moment, it's just singles because I'm still trying to build up a fan base as much as possible, and I think an album is something that is probably quite far off for me. Not for like a few years. I have had in the talks maybe like a small EP or something comprised of the singles that I've got out, and like a couple of additional ones, but it's not something that's currently being planned at the moment. I'm focusing on just releasing singles as they come, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. So
Yeah, I gotta say, you got the right approach to it. I'm conscious of not talking too much about my own experience here, because I know sometimes when I meet someone for the first time on the show, no one's ever said this, but I do. It's part of the relation thing. So it's like you want to get most out of the artist, your guest on the show, but you want to obviously connect and share your experiences. I'll just say this on a side note. I've never had an issue with talking about myself in order to push forward a conversation. Do you know what I mean? But I know sometimes people get a bit iffy about that because they're like, well, you're just talking about yourself, man. And it's like, no. If you're only talking about yourself and you're not listening to the other person, then yeah, you are just talking about yourself. But if you're doing it to push a conversation forward and to have an interaction, then that's a conversation. What's the problem?
yeah.
That's my 2 cents on that. Anyway, so I released an album last year. I did a single first, then an album, and I mean, it was what it was. I did a bunch of bucket list things. I'd say I've failed to create a fan base, and I've tried a lot of different things on social media, and we'll get into the social media angle a little bit after discussing your music, I think. But what I will say is that nothing is really predictable. You know, it's a lot of it is just trying to see what would work.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm trying to say is I learned from my failure that a few things. One is the connection with people, trying to make it as personable as possible, and take your time. For anyone who's thinking of like releasing an album, music, anything, and you know you're either a up and coming artist, or you've been around for a while, slow it down. Not everything has to be rushed.
Yeah.
You know, I was really eager to get a full length out, get an album out, and I did it, and then it kind of, you know, it was, there's like one track that people reacted to fairly well, and then everything just kind of sat there. And I'm still promoting it a little bit, but now I've moved forward, and I'm like, okay, now we're going to slow this down, and we're going to try something different. So bringing it back to yourself, I think it's interesting that, and I don't know how you did it, because I don't know how to do it. Like, I got a track coming out on the 14th, right?
Yeah.
And there's an option, I think, with certain distributors where you can promote something and have the music like a part of it, like an excerpt of it, but not actually have the track released. And that's what you did with your first single. I remember that there was just endless videos of you promoting this song, and people were like, all the comments were, when are you releasing this? When are you releasing this? When are you releasing this? And it was brilliant. You see what I mean? And it got in your head, and it got in my head, and that's what you want. You know, it's an earworm. So I think like your approach is really smart. Is there anything else that you've kind of learned from, I suppose, that angle, the social media angle, that's worked for you? Because like you said, you've got a bit of a following now, and it's happened fairly quickly. I'd say over the course of like 6 months, you've built quite a decent following through that. So what have you learned?
I mean, I have grown a following really quickly, and I'm very blessed. I mean, I only started posting on TikTok, because that's where I started in March last year. So I've been it's been very hard to wrap my head around like how kind and receptive people have been to my music, because I wasn't kind of expecting the response that I've had. But I would say, like you've said, the main thing is just having that engagement and having that personability. I think the hardest thing about being a small artist is the fact that you have all of the jobs. So you're the social media manager, you're the artist, you're the PR team, you're the management, like you do everything. So I have selfishly found a benefit in that by kind of engaging with my followers as much as possible, and forming a bit of a fan base through, you know, we have like a group chat, and we have like a Discord channel, and you know, I respond to all their DMs as much as I can and things like that. start to do a little bit of the work for me, in the sense that they inadvertently promote my music to their family and their friends, and so it becomes a bit of word of mouth. So I have a bit less pressure on me actually as well, which has helped me a lot, because they're the most intensely supportive people in the world, and so they tell their mum and their dad and their sisters and their brothers and their friends, and they tell everybody. I've had like some of my younger followers tell me that they've told their teachers at school about me, and it's just things like that, where it's just they start to take on a little bit of my job actually, and do a bit of that promotion for me. So I'm very grateful, and